During a high school class project, my teacher told me it's unrealistic being a CEO. It's been my dream to be a CEO since I was 10. So I told her, it is realistic. Follow me on my journey to learn what it takes to become a CEO. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. Today I'm here with Lavar. How are you doing today, Lavar?
Good, how are you, man?
Doing great.
Good to see you. I ain't seen you in a long time.
Thank you. Haven't seen you. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So the first question I want to ask you is, can you tell me a little bit about your journey to how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, just my upbringing from my parents, having faith in me at an early age when nobody else believed in me. Really, it's instilling me at a young age, saying that you can be anything that you set your mind to, obviously with hard work. And hearing from your book, it seems like your parents did a good job with yourself as well.
Thank you.
And those same instillments. But also, I had mentors in the community. George Big Will Williams, who was over at the Dunbar, who really mentored me as a young person. And I got to see him in action, not just with words. He really put behind action and really cared for us as a team.
So you talked about your parents and your mentors. How are they a big role into where you are today?
Huge role. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without somebody sacrificing for me, right? I had games my mom had to drive me to, and she couldn't afford it. Now I'm looking back at it. There were times where I would come home and there were days where I didn't have lights in the house or didn't even have heat. So you start to like put all this stuff together and like, man, my mom really sacrificed for the betterment of me to get out of these certain situations. And then those that just took time from their families to coach, and they're not getting paid just to spend time, 4 hours, 2 hours, whatever it is, to take away from their families to make sure us teens and young adults had a safe space to play at. So that's huge. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your sports journey that you had growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I was a pretty good growing up as a 8-year-old. I really loved football. That was my first passionate sport. And I was really good at it, but I hate getting hit. So I said, I'm not going to do this full time. So I then kind of switched over to basketball when I was same age. Really played around the neighborhood, and then my parents brought me to Dunbar, and that's how I really started to hone my skills. And pretty good basketball player. But one thing I will say, and I always keep it real with my players, is I struggle academically. I was a good kid. I always did the right thing, respectful and all those things. But I didn't take my academics seriously, and I struggled. I didn't play all my 4 years in high school because I just didn't make grades. I didn't really play until my junior and senior years, full years. So school is important. I do want to say that. That hindered me furthering my basketball career. Had a pretty successful career, I would say. Then I went on to play at Holyoke Community College. Again, I was on a track record to receive a scholarship out in Tennessee Martin. And again, my grades derailed that from me. And then sort of your story that you had, my father advocated for me all the time, to this day. But I'll never forget this. I had a professor over at HCC, and I spelled Holyoke wrong. I'll never forget it. I spelled Holyoke wrong in one of my papers, or I think it was probably an address or something, or the cover sheet somewhere. I had to put Holyoke there, and I spelled it Holloke. I forgot the Y. And my father, because he had to go, he's always advocating, trying to get a grade change for me or something, because he wanted me to continue playing basketball. And this professor was like, no, and I'm an adult, right? Now looking back at it, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But I'll never forget what she said to me, to my dad, and my dad in the room. She said, how do you expect me to change this young man's grade when he can't even spell Holyoke or support him? And then she basically, and she didn't come out and say it directly, but indirectly, you kind of read between lines. He's not smart enough. He's never gonna achieve anything because he can't even spell Holyoke. So that stuck with me, and it stung me to a point where I'm like, Dad, I don't even want to go to school anymore. It's not for me. And my dad always continued to push me towards education. So I share that story to say, don't ever let anybody tell you what you can't be or can't achieve or whatever your shortcomings are, we all can overcome.
So how were you able to overcome that obstacle?
Yeah, just hard work and perseverance. For me, I always think about my childhood. I said a single parent home. My mom really struggled. We were going from house to house at a certain point. She was having a hard time finding housing. And I remember just my mom sleeping on a couch at my aunt's house. And I had to share a bedroom with my cousin. Very uncomfortable, not having my own. And my mom really taking her pride away to sacrifice for us again. So that helps me, when I get down and out. And I had a lot of obstacles in my own life, but I look back to how my mom always persevered. There was a point in my life, and I've been married about to be 22 years coming up, and I lost my job. As a man, you are supposed to provide for your family. So I remember going home telling my wife that I lost my job, and again, this is talking about family. And my wife embraced me and said, "We're going to be all right." A lot of times we don't have that situation where you go home as a man, you used to providing, and you go home and tell your loved one that you lost your job, and at that immediately, sometimes it goes away and say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to be with you anymore." But that was true love, and that showed me a sense of purpose, gave me another drive and another kick to refocus what I needed to do. And I always look back again on my childhood and just always life experiences and providing for my kids and my family. That always drives me to do more.
So as a coach, like what are some things you try to instill into your players?
My number one thing is respect. Basketball is great, but at the end of the day, at some point, I don't care if you make it to the NBA, basketball is gonna stop. So I always tell my players that be a good person, and people think that's a little. That's actually a lot. I said, be a good person, do the right things, and the basketball stuff will take care of itself. We have student athletes who don't take school seriously. I was one of those students, so I know the trajectory, how that can go. But it's my job to instill in them it's bigger than basketball. So my main thing, and the only thing, if I can give them one thing, is be a good person, be respectful. Well, two things: be a good person, be respectful, because that can go a long way.
So you said, why is being respectful and a good person like the big two things that you want your players to understand?
I'll give you a real live example. I had a student who, and it just happened this past year, who was going to school, not being respectful, not being a good person, just going to school, being late, out of dress code, getting kicked out of class, cursing at teachers, and needed 3 points to pass, to actually be eligible for the next grade, to the next semester, to be eligible to play basketball. And he knew this, so he contacted me as his coach to go advocate for him. And I said, absolutely not, because first of all, you're not being a good person, you're not being respectful, and you had so many multiple incidents where this occurred. No teacher is going to give you a break because, again, you're not respectful, and you're not being a good person. So I tell that to all of my student athletes. If you do those things, sit at the front of the class, ask questions, be on time, pull your dang on pants up. Just the little things you start creating a habit, which we turn into good habits, and that's what we want. And that kind of trickles onto the basketball court, because now you're in uniform, your pants, your shorts are tucked in, you're listening to the coaches, you're listening to instructions. That translates into real life.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you became the assistant director of the Y?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I think your father remember this. Y2K was coming up, I think early 2000. I don't know, when they said they switched over to 2000, they said everything was going to shut down. So I was working in like a call center at the time, and I needed to make some extra money. Started getting afraid that the call center lane would close. So at that point, I looked to have other employment. So this is again around 2000, 2001, I want to say. I reached out to the YMCA, James Morton, who was the CEO at the time, and told him I needed a part-time job to, help, with my bills, and I was afraid of the shutdown type of deal. So I started off as a gym monitor, just watching the gym, watching the kids in the gym. I was signing out basketballs. Didn't think I was too big for the job, and just really started at the ground level. And I worked my way up through the Y. Hard work. Nobody gave me anything. I started to start my own niche. I started the basketball team at the Y. I didn't grow up at the Y. I grew up at Dunbar, where it was free. I couldn't afford the Y. Nobody, what I talked about, we didn't have money to do that, so I had to go to the free programming. So the YMCA, when I was growing up, it was for the elites, like the lawyers and people that had money. So I never had the opportunity. So when I actually got to work there, I got to see kids that looked like me growing up. So I always took a time out to talk to them, let them know what's going on. So I started off as a gym monitor. Then I got promoted to a sports coordinator. But before I had that job, I was already doing the sports coordinator stuff. I was already volunteering, doing clinics, running programming for the Y, doing all that stuff. So they saw me putting in the work, so they gave me a promotion. Then I worked that for a while, built up the program at the Y back where it was actually thriving, making money for the organization. Then I got promoted to sports director at the Y. Then they actually transferred me to the Dunbar Community Center. That's where I landed. Things came full circle, landed back where I grew up at. So I ran that program for a while, then got promoted to the executive director of the Dunbar Community Center. Dream come true, never could have dreamt it in my whole life. I was the last executive director under the Dunbar Community Center's full name, which is now owned by the church, Mount Zion. So I can hang my hat on that. And so that was kind of my journey. I went on to the city of Springfield after leaving the Y. Went to the mayor's office, got elected as a city councilor, then came back to the YMCA, where I'm also now over outreaching teams and running the North End Youth Center as the director.
So can you tell me a little bit about how your experience has been so far being the assistant director of the Y?
Yeah, I mean the experience is it's an ongoing experience. It's a different neighborhood. So down here is the North End, which I didn't grow up here. So it's like finding a niche and finding what they're passionate about, because what we're passionate about in Mason Square may not translate to the North End. Now, granted, everybody loves basketball. Don't get me wrong, but we still have to find out, what is going to drive them to come to this facility. People don't know about it. It's a smaller gym setting, so you can't have full court games. But what we can do is do clinics. What we can do is have a safe space for children to go into the computer lab. So it's me reprogramming myself and finding out what this community actually needs and how we can assist them. So that's my mission here. I want to build this area up before I look to move on to my next journey.
So as a leader, what are some important characteristics that you need to have?
As a leader, again, I tell myself this: be a good person. I believe in treating people right, treating people fair, no matter what creed, color, or background you come from. Yes, I believe in blackness and black rights and all that good stuff. But when I see a person in front of me, I want to make sure that I'm giving you my undivided attention, and I'm listening to you as a person first and foremost. So for me, I have to make sure I'm a good person, and I try to reciprocate that to everybody I come encounter with. I work hard, setting up this camera, in the settings. People don't see the background work. People don't see, when I get home at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, my wife and family haven't seen me all day. I'm working hard. There are nights where I go home and I'm crying. I'm just like, this is just my faith where I gotta pray and get on my knees. So I have a higher faith that I believe in, that I have to pray to replenish me and keep me on the right track, keep me focused, keep me away from certain things. So those are my things. I believe in my faith, and then family. Just being around my family, and it doesn't have to be blood. People that came into my life who really rock with you in a sense, and have your back, and I have theirs. So those are sort of the things that I kind of hold on to.
So you said being able to listen. Why is listening important?
Yes, a lot of people listen to speak. I try to listen to understand. So what I mean by that is, when you and I or anybody are having a conversation with, I think I'm a good listener for the most part. I try to listen to what someone is saying to me versus me trying to insert my own personal feelings. I want to hear what this person is saying. And then sometimes it's okay to not say anything. So a lot of people are quick to say something, and it may not be that time for you. So you got to understand discernment as well. And it's okay to say, listen, that's great that you said that. I'm here to support you, my brother or my sister. And that's fine. A lot of times people try to find the right words to say, and it sometimes doesn't take all that. So it's listening to the person, what they're actually saying, and then don't be quick to respond. A lot of times we are so quick to insert ourselves.
So you said some nights you go home and you're just crying. So how are you able to, as a man, be able to say, yeah, it's okay to just let your emotions out? Because I know some people think, as a man, you're not supposed to show your emotions. So how are you able to make sure that you're showing your emotions?
Yo, Mike, this kid is great. Now, I love your follow-up questions. That's great, and I'm glad you said that. Mental health, right? I'm glad you said, because mental health is going around. And as a young man, to your point, my father and other black men used to say, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show emotions. And that's what my faith taught me, that, when I get into the presence of God, I can let myself, I can be free. So I've always been an expressive person and show emotions to my kids, to my family, and that's just being a human being. We are so, as black people, as black men especially, taught to hold in our feelings. And that is the worst thing we can ever tell ourselves and our young black men. And my father, him and I go back and forth with this all the time. He asks me, what can we do? And I said, we have to start with our young folks. And what I mean by the middle schoolers, to let them know that it is okay to show emotions. Because I think my generation, and maybe a few years younger, are so set in a way, again, you don't show emotions. Real men don't cry. Real men don't back down. Yeah, being a man is learning how to walk away. Being a man is if something hurts you, to let them know, yes, you hurt my feelings, and yes, I'm crying. That's being a man. So I think those are conversations we need to start having more in our community, to make sure, that we have an understanding, it's okay. You're not a punk. You're not a punk. What being a punk is, when somebody comes to you and wants to start beef with you, and you egg that on, walk away. Walk away. Let's live to tell our stories. And again, to your point, to your question, I just believe in being an open book. It took me a while to get there. Trust me, I didn't get there overnight. That's a part of the process, because I was always I'm an introvert for the most part, and I was always keeping my feelings within. And what that in turn causes high blood pressure, stress, all the things those are silent killers, that I was actually killing myself.
So you were able to do it through your faith. So what are some ways that maybe other people are also able to do it, so that they can be more expressive with their emotions?
Yeah, I think just getting into whatever you believe in, getting in tune with yourself. And I don't want to put religion on anybody. I think, sometimes going for a walk, meditation, So whatever is your go-to, playing a video game. You know, I was a big video gamer, and that was my safe space where I got to just spend some time playing the video games, interacting with my buddies or my son or whatever, and just forgetting about life. And that was my safe space. Or getting activity playing hoops. That was another thing that I love to do. Now I'm not as old as your dad, but I think I'm gonna start doing pickleball. We might be the same age, but I think I'm gonna start doing pickleball. You know, just picking up activities where we can just go and have a moment where it's a safe space and we're just getting away from everything and expressing ourselves. I think those are also great things I would tell someone.
So with the people that work around you, like what are some ways that you're able to uplift them?
Yeah, I tell people that are around me, like, I want you to take my job. I don't believe in, I don't want to be the executive director or associate executive director of teams and outreach for forever. Like, my job is to train you to take my job, because quite frankly, I'm not going to be here forever. If I was to, God forbid, something happened to me or my family, or I had to change a heart, you should be able to step into that role. So my job is to teach you, you know, how I operate, how I do things, how things are ran, the budget, all the back stuff that people don't see. That's my job, to do that. Time out is a time, you know, is no longer where we can hold this information. Not only in my everyday job, but also being a city councilor or a coach. My job is to, quick example, my coaches, I don't go there and just say, yo, this is my practice. No. If I'm late or if I have something to do, you should be able to run practice for me. You should be able to run it from 6:30 to 8:30, whenever that is, and have the confidence, and I have the confidence that you're going to do a good job, and whatever you're doing is going to be impactful to our kids. So that's wherever I do everyday life. And then I bring it to my house. Like, I set the standard for my family. You know, on Tuesdays it's trash days. I shouldn't have to come home and take the trash out. You know, as being a man, it's, you know, we call it a man job, but I have boys in my house, so yeah, that is your job, to take out the trash, and make sure you're doing that. So it's just setting the standards and making sure. And we have Sunday family meetings where we meet with our families, just setting them up for whenever they decide to have families or whatever. These are the things that work for us. And you have a book or a Bible that you can say, hey, you know, my family did this. My dad, my mom did this. Let me try this. It seemed like it worked for us. So it's all just instilling those wins, and also sharing the losses, sharing when you don't win. You know what? I tried to, you know, I applied for this job. I got the job, and I wasn't successful. I didn't do the things I was supposed to do, and this is why. So I think sharing the wins is great, but you also got to share the losses as well, and I think that's important.
So when you win, like you're happy, obviously.
Yeah.
But like when you're losing, like how are you able to make sure that you're staying on the right path?
Yeah, and I give this credit to your dad. You know, I put up one day, I don't remember when it was. I said we took a loss, something like that. I don't remember post, but he said, nah, you didn't lose. It's a lesson. So that stuck with me. Is like, and now I start repeating that to my kids and people that I come in contact with. So, and I know the reason why you asked the question, but yeah, wins are great. You know, everybody's on a high horse, and you know, everything's great. You know, everything's kumbaya. But when you get hit in the gut, that hurts. I don't care what anybody says, that hurts. But that's a part of the process. That's a part of the process, and you can't skip it. So, quick story, you know, we made it to Western Mass finals this year, and we had the team on the ropes, and shoulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, all that stuff. I want to get into that, but it was a loss, and this is a loss that it's a lesson that I'm never gonna ever live down, right? Because I don't care if I win 20 more championships. It's always that lesson that gave you the drive and this is where I'm turning that fuel, that loss, into a lesson, and I'm turning it into fuel to say, this is going to drive me for the rest of my life in my basketball career, not only in my basketball career, but in my life, to go the extra mile. Like, what could I have done more or better to make myself and my team prepared? These are the things that you go home with every night. I go home with that every night, and it's never going to sit well with me. So I try to incorporate that in my daily work life, in my routine, and like, how do I go the extra mile? You know, I'm a routinist. I like to iron my clothes at night. Done that since I was a kid. I lay it out. I try to do it for the week, and that's just my routine. Now it may switch with what I wear, but this is kind of what I do. So instead of doing 5 days a week, hey, why not do it for 8 days? So that's just me preparing myself. So it's a little detail, but again, when you're having a game plan, or you're preparing for a speech, or you're preparing for this interview, you know, what do I want to say? What do I want to get out? It's all in preparation, and then again, learning from your loss to a lesson.
So you said that you're the city council, right?
Yeah.
So like, how were you? Can you tell me a little bit how you were able to get that role?
Yeah, a lot of prayer, a lot of hard work, man. Just knocking on doors, and I'm gonna be real with you, Mike. I didn't, and people think it's strange or it's not. I didn't have a message, right? So what do you mean you have a message? Everybody's gonna tell you, right? They want to lower your taxes, they want lower crime, they want all that. They're gonna tell you that. When I was going to the doors, I said, what can I do for you, sir, ma'am? What concerns you? Well, what do you stand for? I said, I can tell you what I stand for, but what I really want to do, I want to hear from you. And this is being for the people, really being for the people. What concerns you? And I got a lot of stuff. You know, my sidewalk needs to be repaired, and my street lights, and you know, just better schools. So I got a lot of information, and that kind of helped me frame where I want to target at. And so I never wanted to be a politician. Had no dreams of doing it. My father was always into it. I hated politicians. I always thought, you know, they're liars. They tell you one thing and do another. They pump fake on you. So I'm like, I'm not dealing with that, because I'm a straight shooter, and I like to be real with people. And so I got into the city council office. So I started being around it more. Started learning about policies, procedures, and meeting law, open meeting laws, and all this stuff. So it started getting into it. I'm like, maybe I do need to get to the table, because in order for me to effectively make change, you got to get at the table. So I said, all right, maybe one day. So I still put it in the back burner. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Went to the mayor's office. Again, I started getting even a higher level of government and seeing how things work. I'm like, man, this is something that I really would consider. And it was God aligned. I had a house over, and a lot of people don't even know this story. I had a house over in our house over by Springfield Plaza. We moved in 2021, 2020, somewhere around there. I want to say 2021. We moved to basically Pine Point area. Marcus Williams resigned in 2021. So it wasn't even like an election where I actually went out and prepared for it. He abruptly resigned because he was taking on an acting career out in Georgia. Happened to be the same area I just moved into. And this is what I'm talking about, God aligned. I had to be there for, I think it was eight months to a year. I just made the cut to be able to even go for the elected position. Just made that cut. So I said, all right, God, I hear you. All right, so put my name as a candidate. I obviously spoke with my family, people that were close to me. They're like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. Put my name in, ran the race. We came victorious in 2022, and just really been doing the work ever since. But I'll tell you this, I was doing the work prior to being an elected official. I believe in helping families. I believe in doing the best I can. I believe being real and just having a heart for people. That's what my mom was. That's what my dad is to this day. And that's what I truly believe in, is just helping the best way I can. And if I can't help you, I'll tell you. I'll try to point you in the right direction, but I just believe in being real with people.
So, like, as a being on the city council, like, what has been like your favorite moment so far?
My favorite moment is really a real story. I like to give a real story. We had a constituent that came to me and said, "Hey, listen, I have an issue on my street where they're speeding, and I want to address this issue. So, what do you want to do?" He said, "Well, I see this speed hump ordinance on the city council that you guys approved. How do I do that?" So gave him the process, and he followed through with it, and we kind of walked him through it. Now, granted, every person in the neighborhood or on that street isn't for a speed hump. However, this is how the process works. He got signatures, he did the work. So it's me supporting all constituents, whether it may not be right for you, but this is right for him, and there's some other constituents that agreed. So this is a part of the process of, again, helping people. So we helped them put this process in place, and lo and behold, he's going to be getting a speed hump coming up. So that's one example. Another example is a lady owns a home, has been there 30 plus years, and she's across from a college house where they have kids that are partying nights and doing all types of stuff. Where she came to the city council complaining about it. We were able to work with the city officials and get some ordinance teams over there to help clean that area up. And again, that's what the government process, that's the way it should work. You know, you come to your city councilors for help, and we are there to help and facilitate those with the workers we have in the city.
So you said family is important to you. So how are you able to make sure that you're balancing your work life with also being able to have family time as well?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's, you know, there's times where, you know, you're giving so much of yourself to the community that you're actually not giving so much to your children or your wife or your spouse, girlfriend, whatever. But it's all a balance, and it's all I understand. It's all biggest thing for me, and I guess just another thing for my players is communication. If you're being open-minded and communicating with your loved ones and your family, let them know what's going on. I think people are more adapt to understand. And then also you have to make time. You can't just say, hey, no, you got to make time. You got to say, hey, no, we're going to actually get away for the weekend, or tonight, you know, don't cook. You know, we're going to go out to dinner. So it's a balance, but it's also having an understanding with your loved ones and just having an open dialogue. I think that's very important.
So I have a couple more questions I want to ask you. So you talked about you growing up, like you struggle with academics. Like, what is like one thing that you wish that you did when you were younger?
Yeah, I wish, and I don't think my mom and my dad recognized. I think I had and I don't want to use this word the wrong way. I think I had a disability where it's like I'm a visual learner. I learned that later in life. Like, I need to see things. I need you to kind of like walk me through it a little bit more. So I think I needed some more extra help. And I think for me, it's more so the information. Like, we have tons of information now, so it's not necessarily what I would have done, but I just think I wish that we would have had the information ready, available like we have now, that my parents could have kind of checked into things a little bit more for me, where I think I could have been better off. Because again, I was trying. It wasn't like I was just blowing it off. I was trying to be a good student. I was trying to study, but I just couldn't retain it. When you told me test, I froze up. And like, I knew the work. I was doing the work, boom. Anytime you said test for me, like something in my brain mentally was like, all right, I'm freezing up. You can't do this, and that was a struggle for me. So I think the most thing for me is just information and education, making sure our folks are aware of resources. So, and then sometimes that comes over time, but I just wish I had that as a kid.
So the last question I want to ask you is, what's one fun fact about yourself that nobody really knows about?
I'm a jokester. See, a lot of people think I'm just this stoic person with a personality that's just, serious face type of deal. Cause I guess that's what I like to portray until you really get to know me. But I like to joke a lot. As a kid, we used to like do the craziest pranks on each other. I'm a prankster. I like to put around my house. We have the ledges. I'll put water in it. They open the door. Water goes on them. So that I like to do stuff like that. Outside of clean fun, the other day I was playing with my grandson with water guns, and we were going around, and I just started firing off on him. He's running around, going crazy. So just being a jokester and just having fun, like cracking on people. I think those are great because it helps you develop tough skin. It's not about someone getting mad. Those things happen. Don't get me wrong, but we were friends the next day. So I think that's the biggest thing. People don't think that I'm a jokester, but I am. I really like to have clean fun.
So thank you for coming on to the podcast today.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to allow me to interview. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. See you guys in the next one.